Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm the Geeky Ballerina, and today's video is about helping dancers develop somatic awareness of their spine. It's really common in ballet for dancers to be aware of the front of their body, but not the back. Your spine is really a major part of your dancing, and so we really need to be aware of it. The stuff we're doing today is very simple, but it actually is more beneficial for older dancers. Little kids they can do the movement. You can talk about the concepts, but they're developmentally not ready to integrate the information yet. So make sure you're doing this with your older dancers, your intermediate kids, your advanced kids, your teen and adult beginners. Anybody about age 12 or up will absorb these concepts much, much better than a younger kid. So the first thing that we really need to make sure that we have covered with our students is that the spine has curves. There's a lot of imagery and words that just are used in day-to-day conversation that don't acknowledge this. Sit up straight, stand up straight, straighten your spine, da-da-da-da-da. The spine is not straight. The healthy spine is not straight. It curves, right? Like you have your head, and then your neck curves one way, and then your thoracic spine. Oh, that was inconsistent, sorry. Your head is here, your cervical spine curves one way, your thoracic spine curves the other, your lumbar spine goes back the first direction, and then your sacrum completes the other way. So you have like a lovely little wave. We need these curves. These curves are healthy. These curves help absorb shock as we jump. These curves are just part of how the spine is designed. And if you flatten them out on purpose, it is much, much harder to move. The concept of the kinetic chain here is super, super valuable. If you lock up the chain in one link, it affects so much more. In fact, like kinetic chain is not even super accurate. I think it's better to call it a kinetic ripple effect. And your spine, like if we're going with a ripple effect, like throwing a stone into a pond, your spine are the biggest stones of all. Like you lock something up there, something else in your body will lock. So we really want curves in the spine. So that's what we're working on today. So you can do this in any seated position that you want. In fact, if you're working with senior citizens, you can do this in a chair. It's totally fine. I often do it in a butterfly just because I'm tight this way, but I also know teachers who do not like this shape and do not use it at all. I'm gonna do it here today so that I can fit some extra stretching. I'm like multitasking right now, but you can do it butterfly, you can do it crisscross applesauce, you can do it kneeling, you can do it seated in a chair. The point is you just need to be seated in the same shape for the whole activity. And you also need to be able to sense your sit bones. Like right now, my sit bones are right on my heels. So if you have dancers who don't have the quad flexibility or the ankle flexibility or the glute flexibility to get that and they're here, this shape would not work. But here's a tip. If you have someone who is not flexible enough to be on their sits bones here, like they're back on their tailbone, a really good prop that will help them gain the flexibility to get here is your yoga block. Oh, also, it can be tight, you can do it really wide, it really doesn't matter, we're just sitting, right? But if you have them sit on their yoga block, that little lift really gives them what they need to get on top of their sits bones. If you don't have a yoga block or you don't have enough yoga blocks, fold up a sweatshirt, grab a pillow, have them sit on their dance bag. There are solutions here, but it's elevating the hips up a little bit tends to help people get their skeleton where it needs to be. So here we are, right? It's basically a cat-cow, just in a different shape. You're gonna inhale forward and exhale back and let it ripple through your whole spine. It's really common for kids to keep their head straight forward, either because they are watching you, they're not sure what they're doing, or they feel self-conscious, but it's really part of it. We're gonna round through the lower back, we're gonna round through the shoulders, we're gonna drop that head, chin as close to your chest as you can get it, and then we're gonna come the other way and release the top of the head back. We're not, oh, that hurts. We're not trying to like thunk, like open it like a trash can lid. That's why that hurt. I was trying to demonstrate that and I can't. but we do want to let it release. So we have just a little gentle opening through the front of the neck, which we don't usually cover in a ballet class. Just back and forth. I want to do that several times. Oh, I'm so tight today, and that's okay. And then you're going to settle on your sit bones again, and then just notice, where do you feel tense? Where do you not feel tense? The goal is to be releasing tension in the curve of the back of their neck and the curve in their lower back. That's where we tend to get like, so we've done that for a little while, and then you can go ahead and stir the pot. Okay, at this point, I am back on my tailbone. I am no longer on my sits bones. I'm gonna have trouble balancing on this yoga block, but that's okay. We're gonna stir around. They are welcome to keep their chin level, which is an interesting kind of sensation through the back of the skull as we keep the chin level without tensing the neck. Or if it's more comfortable, they can let their head wobble. It doesn't, again, the goal is to release the tension. And if you did it one direction, you got to do it the other way. The goal is to be balanced. Encourage your dancers to notice where the tight spots are. We're not going to try to stay with the music here. Notice I'm placing my fingers on the ground to help with balance. We're not strengthening anything. If you find like a sticky spot and you're like, ooh, hang on, take your time in that sticky spot. Notice where your tension is. Notice where your body wants a little bit of extra attention. And then come back. How do we feel? Lifted on this yoga block, it's easier for me to be balanced, for me to be easily balanced if I have a little tension on my arms. Letting go engages my core a little bit more, which makes it harder for me to notice the relaxation in the back of my waistline. Just something you might want to ask your students if they feel. Every single student is going to feel something a little bit different, and that's okay. So we've gone forward and we've gone backward and we've gone around and around, and now we're going to go side to side and just notice. Only go as far as you can with both of your sits bones on the ground. There's a time and a place to rock like a ladybug. This isn't it. Let the top of your head go with you, so we're curving through the spine. This has a double curve in it because we have curved laterally, but we haven't flattened out the natural curve in the spine, which is a little bit complex, and I personally don't want to do the geometry or the calculus or whatever it is to visualize that. But maybe you have a high school student who's really great at math and they can give you the formula for that. Awesome, I'm all for it. Go side to side. We notice where we're tight. Some days I notice a lot of tightness here. Some days I notice a lot of tightness down in my glutes, like my medial glutes especially. Notice where you're tight today. Every day is different. And then settle back. After we've done that, I actually am able to balance here without the arms much more easily. That's a data point for me, right? Now I have a better way to help relax my spine into healthy alignment before class. That's what we're doing here. The point of somatic awareness is not to look a certain way or to feel a certain thing. The point of somatic awareness is to develop a deeper conversation with your body. So now that you have introduced your students to how that relaxed spine feels, give them a minute to breathe normally, and then encourage them to just find a different shape to sit in, or if they're in a chair, they may want to choose to transfer to standing. So here I am. I'm on a yoga block. I'm just gonna slip out from under that. I'm gonna extend my knees, make sure I'm on my sits bones. Can I still enjoy the softness in the back of the neck, the curve in the back of my waist? The curve in the thoracic spine tends to handle itself unless you're dealing with kyphosis. I think in large part because the ribs attach to those vertebrae and kind of just hold it in place. And then your sacrum tends to just kind of take care of itself. Again, because those bones are very connected. So it's the relaxation in the back of the neck and the back of the waistline that are going to make the biggest difference. And then once you have this sense of easefulness, then you can go in and you can start your bar work. And then every other or every third exercise or so, come back to it. Have we accumulated tension that we can release? Developing somatic awareness takes a long time. It takes a long time. It's something that we work on throughout training. And there are really key developmental milestones that need to be met before we can deepen that layer of understanding. So even though what we did was very, very simple and probably stuff that you do in your pre-ballet classes, the ability to be aware and the ability to take that knowledge and transfer it into a different setting, like the knowledge from sitting into a pirouette or a grand allegro or a jeté, that is something that takes a lot of cognitive development. So when you're working with somatic awareness, slow and steady, you got to be patient and you've got to be persistent about it. Somatic awareness is a section in my upcoming book, Artistry Inside Ballet Technique, that releases on October 17th. And as I said, somatic awareness is a section, so there are several chapters that give you a little bit of the history of somatics, a little bit of the anatomy and that you would need to know. I keep it really basic. We're not studying for the MCAT here, but just the grounding that you need to have to be able to come in and adapt to the bodies in the room in front of you. And then I also give you really applicable tools and images and games and activities to do with beginning, intermediate, and advanced dancers. If you're interested in other elements of artistry, I do talk about those on my website, geekyballerina.com. And on my website, you also can check out my teaching resources that I've created and sign up for my monthly newsletter, where every month I talk about a technique tip and an element of artistry and how they tie together. I hope you have a really great class.